860, your name and where you're calling from?
Hi, my name is Carmel. I'm calling from Connecticut.
Hi, Carmel from Connecticut. How can I help you today?
Is this Andrew?
This is Andrew. Yes, it is.
Oh, awesome. So nice to meet you. Although I have to share this with somebody who has other insights. I'm really feeling like I'm pulling out of time. And not a whole lot here is interesting me. I don't want to play the games I used to be very good at playing. And I feel very supported, etc., in my life because I get exactly what I need when I need it. But there's a part of me that's wanting more. And I'm not sure what my contract is. I'm working all the time. I've been working regarding the consciousness upliftment for many years now. And I just feel like, my job is done. I'm reticent to say that, but I feel like what I came here to do, the pushing that and the striving that I've come here to do, I feel satisfied that I've done my job. In other words, people are picking it up. The steam is rolling, expansion is happening, and I'm ready to go to the next place to play. Okay. I don't even know where that is.
I got a couple of questions for you. How did you hear about the show?
I heard it through a chat room.
Okay. Your first time listening today?
Yeah, it actually is.
Okay. Well, it's very ironic. Yesterday I had a show with Michael Monk and Peter Sheldon. It was a very, very powerful show, and it's tapped into a whole new layer of spiritual contracts, people. And ironically enough, you are spiritually contracted to meet me at this day, at this time, and for you to make that phone call and make a free-willed choice to find out if you've completed all of your spiritual contracts. And the answer is there's a whole layer of spiritual contracts that you're completely unaware of. And that spiritual contract is related to the actual wolves of this communities that we live in. You are a wolf spirit, honestly, and you have been a pack mate and a head mate and an alpha male and an alpha female for many lifetimes. And when the mass extinctions of the wolves became in the 1800s, you made sure many wolf spirits transitioned out of being a wolf and became human, spread throughout the world. And you completed that contract and then went on to nurture those wolf spirits that were in humans by being a mother who would go to different Indian reservations that had homes on them that were taking children through whatever reason, and you would connect people to other spiritual people so that the wolf packs could be reunited in human terms. And you can finish that part in about the 1930s. And then you went back into the astral world where you waited and waited until you had this lifetime. And this lifetime, you are here to resolve all of the leftover contracts you had from the fall of Atlantis. You were in all three falls of Atlantis. And each time you were on the side that was trying to enforce Fortress Earth to prevent the spiritual invasion that was taking place. But each time it ultimately failed as the corruption of man had come from the inside and the technology had overweighed the spirituality. And your lifetime, this lifetime, separate of everything that you think you've done now, is to understand that there must be a spiritual science. And that spiritual science doesn't have anything to do with equational math and numbers. It has to do with the mechanics of spirituality that can be spread to everyone in the world. You're a teacher spirit this lifetime, and you already know that. And on a much deeper level, your personal expression this lifetime is about the wolf howl. The wolf howls to its pack mate, and on a mountain far beyond, another wolf howls back. And it is a network of psychic wolf howls that I hear in you right now.
I'm listening.
Okay. Do you have anything to add about that? I understand this is a lot of information, and I'm getting a little bit of soul reverberation from you, and this signifies that I've hit a tone inside you, a tone that hasn't been played in a very long time.
Yes. And, the activities that I do occupy myself with, I try to make sure that I maintain my now presence of holding my joy in front of me before I do anything else or speak. Mm-hmm. I have actually been, I must say counselor, teacher to many people. Every time I hang a shingle to try to make this my lifestyle, it evaporates really quickly. That's not what I'm supposed to be doing. When I do my art and I try to put it out there to bring back a a return, a material return. Although material returns are not all that important to me. It's fun to play in the material world. I really enjoy that part of it, but it's not my objective. So I guess I have a question regarding the point that I'm at right now, spinning in this question mark that you've picked up on, as to which direction I need to start howling.
You need to find the other sacred feminine energies that have howled before into the distance of your psychic void of space. It's a time where you retreat to the feminine lodge and allow other women as sisterhoods to share their stories while you share your stories, while you learn to express the tears of earth as the same tears of your mind. So you understand that you as a sacred feminine that has a womb chakra is here to help create and co-create life on many levels, but as well as to teach the women spirits to reconnect to their menstrual cycles. The menstrual cycle is extremely powerful for women, and they are rapidly misunderstanding it and heading into a very negative layer of creation with their menstrual cycle. You in your lifetime have had to deal with very difficult menstrual cycles at times, but you haven't released those energies so you can return to the wisdom of why you have this cycle, why your spirit contracted yourself to be a woman this lifetime with all of her other spiritual contracts. And really what I'm really sensing, the most important thing for you to understand here is there's a sacred space that you have that's inside you, and you've given keys to other people, and they should not have keys. It's like if you rent a house and you give a key to everyone, the person that's renting that house doesn't want those people in there. And this is what you must do to your sacred space, change the locks. And anything that tries to get in, say, you are not allowed in unless you get in. I'm very much sensing that there is one entity that's figured out how to get beyond your boundaries. And this is how would I describe this? A male father energy that's been around a while, that it's been forced and enforced a concept upon you in a passive dominative way. And this male concept energy is trying to get you to respect him more than yourself.
No, it was actually my mother.
Yeah, well,
my mother.
They can have masculine energy, even women. And when women are stuck in masculine energy, it doesn't matter what their sex are, they're expressing masculine energy. How damaging was her controlling to you?
Well, enough to put a dent in my self-esteem.
All right.
For
but
sure.
There are things that she said to you that have damaged the inner child, and that inner child has shaped a concept that the adult you hasn't unempowered yet. And that is a classic example of spiritual contracts that have fine print on them that limit you from seeing your full potential.
Okay.
And what I'm going to recommend for you is identify your mother as a spiritual contract, as the woman that brought you into this life, and say out loud to your energy field, I am removing all fine print contracts that keep me in a negative incarnation pattern with my mother. All dominative energies she has said to me, I remove all power from those contracts. I no longer allow any of her energies to interact with my awake memory. I return all of her concepts to cellular memory so that I may still have the experience, but I do not need the empowering moments affecting the co-creative present me. And You're going to notice that there are many memories that you'll have to unempower that you've had in your lifetime with her.
Well, I'm sure I'm not alone, but the last couple of years, and it's been increasing to the present moment, where subtly little cracks in my psyche have opened up, and little bits of memory have like seeped to the surface, where I'm actually remembering things I haven't remembered in 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
When they're coming up now, they're coming up with I'm addressing them with much more love immediately. Mm-hmm. Instead of going, ooh, I could deal with that. I don't do that anymore. Now I go, oh, I remember that. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I'm actually working on the releasing part. I appreciate you giving me some words, some guidelines here to release those contracts that I was never aware of. And
you're going to discover there's a lot of things that your mother's fine print spiritual contract made it impossible for the adult you to perceive, because there are specific spiritual contracts in your lifetime you're only supposed to understand as an innocent inner child. And therefore the adult you must go back and remove the energies of your mother and then allow the adult you to be the innocent inner child again so you can perceive those contracts in the way you were supposed to. So it begins to reshape the adult you to have the innocent inner child as a part of your adult co-creative being.
Okay. All right. Well, if there's not anything else that you see you would like to add to me.
Well, there's more here. I mean, I was telling you about the fall of Atlantis and the Lemuria. I mean, what is your concepts of those? You're here to resolve the fact that a great soul society failed 3 times to prevent the destruction.
My feelings on that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question. Your
feelings. What is your view of Atlantis and Lemuria? Have you studied anything on it?
Oh, yeah. I feel like I feel like there's an energetic memory for me regarding. I was never sure if it was Atlantis until somebody would say something like, "Well, Atlanteans, ornate them. They're very ornate. They wear a lot of jewelry, etc." And I would go, "Well, that's me. So maybe I'm an Atlantean." And so I never had any real direct correlation for that. But the things that I can see when I meditate and the conversations that I have in other places are people that I know have been with me for a very long, long time. So, I would say that I believe that I was part of that, but I'm really happy to see I was not part of the destruction per se.
Well, that's the thing. You were part of the side that was trying to prevent destruction. And this is where it gets a little tricky to understand. You had also made parts of yourself that were on the dark side to be sleeper agents, quite literally. Instinctively, you knew that all 3 attempts were going to fail to prevent the destruction because Atlantis had rotted from the inside, quite literally, because beings had hijacked the incarnation grid and prevented the powerful light spirits from coming in. And your soul, in the long-term concept of what it knew that it needed to have agents within the very 3 falls of the destruction so that they plan a way to recapture Fortress Earth. Because every time Earth has been captured by the dark beings, they fortify it even more, which makes it even harder to invade. The 3 times that they tried to get to Atlantis, it was really hard for the dark guys because we had done a really, really good job of fortifying this world. But they figured out a back door. And so many of your other versions of yourself and the soul family you had became sleeper agents. And this is something that you'll have to resolve on a karmic level, but that's about understanding the history here. And we're a race with amnesia. That's just some of the facts right now. We're also a race held hostage by entities that are literally using our life force as a means of determining what a future outcome is going to be. So we're a race held hostage, yet we don't see this in any way, shape, or form. And you're going to have to come to an understanding you need to research Atlantis and Lemuria and begin to determine what resonates with you. And it'll be time for you to look at your past life concepts. This is going to open up a whole new layer of self-expression for you. And you're going to find that the talents you've learned this lifetime directly apply to the past life's wisdom of those other lifetimes. And you're going to see incarnation habits and patterns that reflect to this lifetime.
Okay. Now, all kinds of brain started firing like crazy when you were speaking just now. Yes, I can see some of the things that I do currently are very old arts. And it also, you seem to be able to satisfy this feeling that I feel like I've pushed the boulder uphill, we're at the peak. And now I'm relieved. It's not like I want to leave because I'm done. I'm relieved. I feel like we've accomplished what we needed to do so far and things are rolling. But, there's a sense of relief. So I'm really glad you said that because it sparked that up for me.
Okay. And then there's one more thing. You're not member to one soul family. You're member to many soul families. And that's just reflective of the type of soul that you are. You've lived lifetimes in hundreds of soul families. It means you can jump soul families and DNA lineages during your off lifetimes and then come back into a DNA lineage with all of the other knowledge from another soul family and a DNA wisdom. And that's something you're going to have during another awakening, that you're going to realize that you have whole spans of extra psychic talents that are not part of your DNA lineage of this lifetime or this soul family, but other talents from other soul families are going to come to you, and it'll be your personal choice of self-expression to learn them, and to find teachers in this world, in this matrix world, so you realize that there's contracts that you gave yourself. If you've expanded your consciousness enough, that these other soul-based psychic talents will come forward. And there are whole groups of teachers that are waiting out there, so you can also become a teacher. You're destined, and I mean destined, to become a new elder of a new generation of people.
Awesome. It makes me feel really good. Andrew, this was wonderful. I'm really very grateful that you speak your truth and you give your gifts.
Well, thank you for calling in, and you call in another time if you'd like. Or
I would love to.
Or you can get a hold of me on my website, andrewbartzis.com, if you'd like a private reading.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. Have a good day.
You too. You take it easy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So what I'm going to do is open up to the 4 directional readings. This represents the total potential of all listeners, of all people listening. We get the place of power, the arrow of truth, the prayer pipe of inner peace, and the vision quest is what comes to the 4 directions. In the east direction is the place of power, that of the earth connection, that which connects you to the water of the land, the underground layers, the places that are deep in your soul, that where the magic still lives, where your spirit can rest in the perfect protection. That place of power is the nurturing womb, the womb in which you were existing in before you came to physical earth through the womb of your mother. The 2 wombs are representative of the infinite world and the finite world. The places of power are womb caves, are places for you to go and reconnect to the placenta of energy that is Earth Mother's love. These places of power are over, or jails are over them. That's one of the reasons I got triggered there. And it's something that we as people are going to have to remember, that much of our society was set up on places of power through direct knowledge. And that direct knowledge is very important in the next phase that we go, because the East direction showed us that the wombs are out there and that they want our love. They want us to go back and experience the placenta so they can experience what we've learned. That's what's at stake here. Now, the next phase, the Western direction, that which is the introspection and the goals. What determines if you take action or inaction is the level of truth you have in your soul. What is truth? If you shoot an arrow straight up, will it come straight down on you? Adjusted for a little bit of wind? Would anybody here shoot an arrow straight up and just stand there and wait for it to come down? Is that truth enough for you on your truth meter? We all have truth meters in us. And you must use that truth meter to determine the type of spiritual energy that you want in your life. You achieve this by understanding the south direction of your reading, that which is the prayer pipe of inner peace, that which is the trigger that says, I can enjoy more of Earth Mother's energy. I can enjoy more of my spiritual energy. I can allow myself to allow whatever it is that you do for practicing of spirituality, religion, to flow you with all of what that is. So there's a total happiness within you. That is the concept of the prayer pipe of inner peace. When that's aligned with the arrow of truth, you have the power of the universe in you, because you have your inner belief, your heart belief, and your mind belief all focusing on a single concept. That, my friends, is known as the Vision Quest. And that is the next card that is in the future here. That is that of the North. When you look to your ancestors who before you, who had to live lives very much like you, just with a little bit of different technology. They loved, they lost, they still went to the bathroom, they still had to make dinner, they still had to do the dishes, they still had to have horses, they still had to do everything we do, just the conveniences are different now. The very concept of the Vision Quest is when you put your arms up in the air to the universe and say, I want to explore more. And when you explore more, the wholeness of what this energy is comes into the place of power that you're at right there. The arrow shoots straight up into the air, but it's not one arrow. It's a rainbow of 1,000 arrows in 1,000 directions, each one representing part of your soul going to the universe. All this is unified in a grounded, anchored person who's used the prayer pipe of inner priest to seek the vision of all three of its aspects to unify in a single concept. That's the energies of today. That is the energies that I've read on the stream server today. That is the total potential of everyone listening today and the total potential of everyone in archives from now until the event. I rarely talk about the event, but it is neither in time or out of time. It is something that exists as a free point floating bubble of reality. And sooner or later, as we spider our web through the eternity of space, like a giant spaceship, Earth is just in tow of the sun in a spiraling format in part of an interactive part of the galaxy where three separate galaxies, magnetic energies, are inter-aspecting in one part of space. So Earth is caught, imagine three circles intersecting, and that little half moon shape that's inside, Earth is stuck in that little bubble, and it can't find its way out. Right now it's on the very edge of one of those bubbles, and it's going to either pop out the other side or go back into its circle. Our consciousness determines if we go out the other side or if we stay in that bubble. That is why this type of energy was read today, so people can understand what our future means. Our future of this event is literally the two sides of Earth going from two worlds, of one of a dream world and one of an awake world, until they meld, until there's no veil of separation, until both sides can hug each other and love each other in freedom, love, and respect without polarity to interfere. That's some of the veil of separation that you realize, fear was put there to keep us separated. So much was put here to keep us here, but if we tried, we could get beyond it and understand the spiritual realms. So for as hard as it is for some people, it is very easy for others. This concept of the Vision Quest, I know I'm already connecting to a bunch of people. I can feel the energy returning and the light of your various angelic beings saying they are understanding. And my response to them is to go to your prayers, go to your truth. What has happened in your life before you dance this dream that you're in now? Can you ask those hard questions? Can you let the infinity in? Can you touch the placenta of the void back in your womb cave? That's ultimate here. Touching the placenta of the void in the womb cave. It's likened to the scene when Neo touches the mirror. That's exactly a good concept for you people to think. In the movie The First Matrix, where he was offered the blue pill, he took the pill and his fingers started to change colors and go translucent in the mirror, and he touched it, and all of a sudden he began to transform. In this aspect of trying to understand the energies at hand here, it's actually a reversal. You're trying to bring the energies over the dream time to your finite side, and your finite concept does not have the room for an infinite concept until the mind itself opens to the concept of the infinite. And then the doorways of silence open. From doorways of silence is telepathic communication. From telepathic communication is to an understanding of your soul grid. And from your soul grid is to understanding how your soul group interacts with spiritual incarnations and why you are in the place that you are. I'm taking this opportunity to explain this level in this layer of reality, because over the next several weeks I will be increasing the information for those that are ready to listen. I have received numerous emails. Just one second, the universe is pinging me. And the universe is still pinging me. Anyways, the energy of today, the vision quest, the prayer pipe, the arrow of truth, place of power. I want people to write those down. For those people who have sent me emails and have been wanting to understand more about this concept, write those four energies down. When you can go back and listen to the show at another point in time, it'll make more sense to many of the future yous. I've just read the animal energies now. Now this is more representative to the four directional energies of the people that run the gambit of the chat room. This type of energy represents a 24-hour cycle from now until 24 hours from now, which is 10:11 tomorrow morning, my time, which will be 11:11 somebody else's time. So interesting synchronicities. The energies begin like a low tide to middle tide, or low tide to high tide, low tide to high tide. That's how they're going to come. The energy of the first tide, the first energy, is the energy of the phases of the current moon. That is the wolf, the moon dog, the pathfinder of my soul, the teacher, the gatherer, the understander, the hunter, and those that do not choose to be alone. They're part of a pack, a concept, a total understanding of their point of purpose of existence. That is that first wave of energy. That is that first wave of energy that laps upon the shores of the distant realities. The second wave of energy that laps upon the shores of distant reality is the dog. It represents the loyalty of an entire species to another species. It is a reminder that there are spirits that are here to protect us until the very end, and those dogs will be our loyal servants, because they are being of service to Earth Mother by being of service to us. That is the second wave of energy that comes to the endless shores of the universe. The third wave of energy that comes to the endless shores is the skunk, a small little furry creature that can have spread fear to many of the people of the forest. Its little tail, its black and white nature, is known by many. You get sprayed by it, it's deadly accurate. It stomps its feet. The skunk has the ability to attract and repel like scent, like musk, those who are of similar energy. So that third wave of energy that hits the total entire potential of the chat room will be looking for like-minded people and repelling like-minded people. That energy will be that of the reputation that you have. Very. For those people that are invested into this energy stream, that is Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. There is a concept here where all of us are sharing a morphogenic field and part of our consciousness to keep this place alive. 2.5 million listeners, individual hits, that's huge. That's a collective consciousness that's formed here. And I'm reading the collective consciousness energy of that which interacts with the chat room in a 24-hour period. So for those of you who are just coming into the understanding of that, there is a directional energy, there's an internal energy, and then there's this energy of the animals that can teach us. And this energy of the animals that is represented in the skunk are the people that are demanding like-minded people. And many of those people come from homes or places that don't have that. So the first thing that they do is demand. And that's fine. In the basic rules of the energy of the chat room, if you're personable and you ask questions, you get what you want. And you suddenly realize you don't need to polarize unless you're asking for a fight like the skunk. And know that the people here will simply spray back at you the skunk energy. Think about that, the regulars that are here now, when people go back and forth between energy. That is the perfect example of people that are doing skunk energy. The next energy that comes in is that of the badger. I'm suddenly thinking, we don't need no stinking badges. Badgers. Well, a badger is the creature of aggression. It is the creature that can attach right to its energetic center of adrenaline and just reach out and latch and be aggressive. that very concept of energy is that of the badger. But the badger also has a very soft side where it takes a mate for life, and it takes its children in for a very long time before it lets them out into the world. So it is not a creature of evil. It is a creature of survival mechanism that is of aggression, a place that is a food chain where the highest aggressiveness. Think of the video of the honey badger. Honey badger don't give a damn. It's so true. And in this concept of this reading, there are people that are like that who are coming from high places of aggression to let out aggression. And as I said, this was the reading for the chat room people here. At that moment in time, the only way to counter badger medicine, it's not with skunk medicine because that just gets them more and more angry. You counter them with plant energy. Most common way. If you find yourself in a situation where your chat room is way over-ended, put a plant next to your computer. Get something else living there that can act as a membrane between you and that other energy. I recommend that people can use simple crystals by their computer. Or if you're a little more creative, tie a little bag of kosher salt, a mercury dime, some sage, and a crystal, a little cloth bag, and attach that to the wireless router you have, the little cable that comes out of the wall. Just string it, and that right there will give you a layer of protection from your digital stream. Because the badger is a digger, an understander of how to dig. So when you attach that little protective bag, you're using badger energy to protect you from the other aggressive energies that are out there. And just so you understand, your computer's an open portal. There's no barrier between you and the energies coming in and out. There's no fence. So if you want to build one, you can do that. And it starts with intent. It starts with understanding what it all was for. Okay? The wolf, the dog, the skunk, the badger. So now I've read the overall potential of Revolution Radio, and I've read the animal medicine of the chat room. And now I'm going to read the host energy. People have asked me how I'm able to read people that I've never met. They're part of this morphogenic field. And this morphogenic field includes all hosts, past, present, and future. So I'm reading now the total potential of all of those hosts, of all of those people that are dreaming of telling their truth and standing up and saying no more to the bullshit. The shaman's death, the sharing and the quickening of the powwow, the thunder beings, and the heyoka. That's what's present here. Okay? This isn't a directional concept. This is more of an internal concept. When you are working with the infinite energy such as I am working with right now, you have to understand that when you see total potential, you must translate that potential to a finite concept. And that first finite concept is the shaman's death, the total potential of all energy of hosts, past, present, and future, their death, their rebirth. I look upon the image of this energy, and I see a very old man. Half his face is painted white, half his face is painted black. He has different colors of eye shade on to remind you that he's still two-sided. There's a red feather in the very back of his little top knot. Reaching down to his old leathery skin, you realize he's been out in the sun for way too long. There's a rattle in his hand, and he's asking, are you ready to take the reins? And if you choose to take the reins, you experience the sharing, the quickening. You understand what the future means, and you are allowing yourself to open up to the endless amount of energies that is your personal expression of love, light, and truth, so you may find contact with your soul group. For those of you that are going on air, past, present, and future, that are listening to this, when you go on air, you are a echolocating spirit. You are sending out psychic pulses from your throat chakra that are encoded, and only those within your source soul group will have that information, that cipher to unlock what that energy is. And I am at this current moment communicating to tens of thousands, if not millions, of different people that are using a psychic pulse. I don't know what it is because it is between our oversoul minds, and it is not meant for this three-dimensional reality. It is how we choose to come together in the infinite points of the universe while the finite parts of this world try to figure out the mathematical equation to get us to meet. And radio is one of those methods. Okay? That is that energies. The next energy is that of the thunder beings, the usable energy, that which comes through the cloud of the lightning and the thunder and the strikes and that makes the people understand the limitless energy of nature. Between Father Sky and Mother Earth is a grand union, and this grand union is opening us up to the energy of the Earth Mind. It is asking you to take the power of the thunder and use it for good. Use it for understanding. Use it for the power on the shaman's life, death, and rebirth. It is your personal choice when you use this energy. The next energy, the Heyoka. Heyoka has come. Heyoka has trampled some of your spirit energy, some of your spirit crops that you've been planting. You've been planting the corn, squash, and beans, and something keeps by and trampling your little seedlings. This energy is to the energy of those who are just about to cross over to the other side of being a presenter from being a listener, because there's a very big change when you choose that. The Heyoka energies must come at you differently because you are now owning your power and you are not an open doormat for them when you go on air. Some hosts forget that, and the Heyoka comes to reteach them. In this instance, it is the first aspect, the first understanding, the first very concept of the black and white Heyoka, teaching you through universal humor and opposition. When it is teaching you through pain and disrespect, it's because it's tricking you into doing something that you would not do, or it's tricking you to do something that you would do. The ultimate concept is to recognize Heyoka when it is coming towards you, so it may lead you away, so it may trample your spirit crops. It is a time where you define your sacred space and do not allow those negative people in your life to steal your energy, to steal your love, to steal your concept, or to significantly distract you enough from studying a topic that will help you attach to your soul groups or soul mates. Because so many of us out there are looking for that mate, and the Heyoka energy prevents us. But that's why you've come to be a presenter upon this show, to not find a mate. That's the interesting concept. There are people that say that they go there because you have a better opportunity of meeting people. Well, when you're on air, that's the natural concept. But when you're on air to do something that is in a donated-based situation where there are no advertisers and people can say their truth with their perfect authority, it's a very different situation than the meat market of that of a bar. Very different. You have people that are empowered and understand and have a bullshit meter. These same people understand you cannot just steal and not give back because you cannot go on. So those people rapidly understand who are the stealers and who are not. So if you're about to make that crossover, just understand who you're giving your energy away. And when you go on air, not only are you feeding the total potential of all people listening, you're also feeding the total potential of you as a presenter and a listener, past, present, and future. That's some of the layers that I see coming into our reality of people should choose to understand them. You know, I've been doing this for a very, very long time, and when I see readings like this, it's representative of great experiential change for people. But it's not going to be based in the event. It's going to be based in if you understand the basic concepts of evolving your consciousness. And that does not need to be a singular religion. It just needs to be that you're expanding concepts. You're exploring your consciousness. It can be with any book, any subject. It is involving your free will and free time investment into it. If you understand that basic concept, you are giving your free-willed intent and concept of investment of study to it, it's going to give you back an understanding of the equation from infinite to finite. It's the rawest way I can boil it down for you. That's what's at stake here. If you just take the time, because it's being based off of a total spiritual weight at this point. We're right at that point where the teeter-totter is just about balanced. But there are forces of good and dark and in between that are all rearing back, waiting for the book to end with the final act. And here in our world, the final act always has something else that pops up. The monster comes back to life, or it's the sudden thing that jumps out for the wall. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, nothing's going to jump out of the wall unless we make it jump out of the wall, unless we manifest it in our dreaming, separated minds. So it's at a time where we as a people come together and, say we want to co-create and manifest our dreams and not manifest the false dreams of a propaganda-based reality. So I'm going to go back and read the animal energies of the fourth part of Revolution Radio's chat room. I only got to do the 3. That future energy is literally changing right now. And it's ironic because of the type of people that are calling in, the type of concepts that are coming and going to this stream chat, this total concept of which is the morphogenic field of Revolution Radio. So some say that it's direct shaman work. I say it's more the work of the spider, the creature that is the weaver of the patterns of the universe, that which created the first alphabet. In these times, the spider is feared, but it is not a creature that needs to be feared. It simply needs to be understood that it is a weaver, and its energy is primal and basic, and it allows us to understand how to make a pattern and how those patterns interact with the patterns of others. There's a pattern of energy around us. There's a pattern of energy around others. When we link ourselves into a soul group, we become part of a soul web. That soul web expands into our galaxy and then into our universe, and then expands into other universes. There's the ever-evolving, ever-present web of life. For those of you that had meditative experience, when the grid forms over your closed eyes and your third eye opens up to a grid of interacting squares, that is the very fabric of spider energy. It is the very fabric of our reality. It is the separation of the two worlds in which you can look through and be a part of. If you should choose to have the painted face of self-expression within the Dreamtime world, that painted face blended with the spider is an understanding that the webs we weave of our life are a message in themselves, just like the painted face. That is the energy that is moving forward, upwards and onwards. The fire medicine and the eagle medicine of the great stream is coming here. It is burning within the soul for all those who want to find their truth, allowing them to fly high with great soaring eagle up into the skies and the largest of great spirits' energies and mysteries. And when we get back down to earth, we are grounded in this mysterious energy and allowed to be a part of the co-creating fire medicine of the painted face, of the web of soul expression. That is here. That is now. That is an energy that's palpable and has feeling to me. In many, many, many times in my life, I've had experiences that showed me when it was time to pilgrimage. And the gentleman that just called in, it's his time. He's done the things that in his lifetime that are very necessary for him to understand. And I know he's kind of listening now. And your hands are sweating for a specific reason. And you're purging out the energies. And you're going to be purging out those energies for a while. And that's perfectly fine. That's part of the process. As you get to the place of purge, you'll know exactly what to do because your body will tell you. The next set of energies that I'm reading are the afternoon energies. The grouse, the armadillo, the elk, and the turtle. Stranger, stranger, stranger on the horizon we are. At this very moment, the great grouse is dancing his spiral dance, luring us into the spiral dream, asking us with his flapping wings to dance a sacred dream. Friend Armadillo comes dancing the sacred dream, reminding us of the boundaries we empower to have our sacred space, so we may evolve our sacred self. Friend Elk comes dancing here, and Friend Elk is asking us, do you have the respect for the stamina it takes to be an adult? It's asking, do you have the respect of the innocence of the inner child to remain an inner child? Do you have the stamina to endure the dance, to endure the interaction into the infinite? We come to a pause in the dance. The armadillo, the grouse, and the elk. Turtle comes into vision. Turtle is the out of the amphibious world who can live in the infinite and the finite. It lays its eggs in the sand, and out of the turtles are born. And their energies come out. And that is what is here, coming out of energies, defining our boundaries, understanding our stamina, and knowing when it is time for us to dance. So I'm going to read the energies of dream time, the total potential of dreaming energy that's coming to and from our planetary concept right now. So I'm now moving away from reading the stream server. I'm reading our planetary consciousness in its state of being as it is right now. When I do planetary dreamtime consciousness reads, a lot of things come up, and at times it's a representation of the world-type energy that's coming out of various nations or areas. I look to the very top, the very point of the North Pole of our world. I'm looking down from it as our world is spinning. So the South Pole is invisible to me, but I only see the angular horizons of the North Pole from exactly at the top. And I see the burdens of Earth are represented in the reliance of its people, its ability for the people to understand what is real and what is false. That is the representation of the Northern Hemisphere. This very essence, this very concept of the burden basket reaches into the people deep. It asks the people to know when they have seen truth, how to nurture truth, how to let the spark of fire and the counsel of fire into their lives so they may let go of the heyokas. That is a concept that is hard for people to understand when you only look at the world from the northern aspect, because that is the unified consciousness is what's coming out. And when I'm reading that, comment on dreams of escape. It's hard to general concept, LM to concept just on that. Escapist dreams are like when you're in a fantasy realm, often have real meanings in to you. So to give a general description, I don't have dreams like that anymore, so it's very difficult for me to describe it, but it's generating a fantasy life for those fantasy things can be beneficial for a person healing at that time, but they ultimately become a crutch and a trap when you overuse them. And overuse them, you could never see it coming. It's just poof, one day you're overusing it and you're addicted to it. And the only way from getting out of that escapist dream is to escape it into another dream, which ultimately puts you into the hoop circle of understanding. So the more you realize you're caught in one dream cycle, you're caught in another until you can eliminate all dream cycles and return to the sacred dreaming point of view that is you, that is attached to no realm but a singular realm of the body. And that's really about being the shaman, practicing your talk, walking your talk, owning your strength. That's what I see when you ask a question about escape dreams. As I was reading the Northern Hemisphere, I also see the Thunder Beings, the Storyteller, the Stone People, the Great Mystery, and Kokopelli. The people are dancing. The people aren't dancing in the street just yet, but the people are dancing in dreamtime, dancing in a method and a manner that is allowing the earth to hear their footsteps on the ground and reminding them that they're not idle no more. And I use that saying for a very specific reason. Idle no more is dancing their ways through the various aspects right now. And each person that is in and a part of Idle No More is dancing in a sacred way. And many of you can begin to dance in a sacred way, stomp your feet on the ground and send your message to Earth Mother, no more lies. Shake off the method of domination and control. That can be the message of your dance. Free the people, free your minds. All of that is within the great mystery if you should choose to dance the sacred style of the grouse, humming with your heart in the out of the great mystery. The concept of the ghost dance in concept and not practice is similar. It is to wake up the spirit of the animals so they may reclaim the serenity that the animals came here in the very first place. Concept, ghost dance. Ghost shirt religion, ghost dance. All of those things are accessible magical rituals that people can do in a singular perspective. They should choose to connect with the heartbeat of Earth Mother or use the talking drums. I say that for a very specific reason. Those that are drummers and those that are dancers and those that are one and the same. The dancers are out there using the rhythm of their feet and their prayers of their heart and their mind, stamping it into the ground, adding to the echo and the vibration of the drummer. The drummer and the dancer are one. One but two systems interacting with a co-creative dream world. Are you the dreamer or are you the dreamed? Are you the drummer or are you the drummed? The rhythm is here for you to choose to play along or to sit there silent on the wall. The fire is there, beckoning you to sit next to it and be warm. The drums are dreaming. The dancers are dreaming. We're all part of this dream, dancing this dream. wondering, weaving, waiting, understanding, and knowing the very essence of change is at hand if we should choose to accept it. Accepting change into your life. It's a very difficult topic for some people that are stuck in the dark night of the soul. Accepting the light, any bit of help, for some people that are stuck in pride is very difficult. Set aside those emotions and say, I want to be more. Tell pride, you will not sabotage me again. Tell ego, you will not sabotage me again. Put them in check so you can have the personal experiences that you want in a method, in a manner that makes sense to you. Oftentimes the ego will let you have psychic experiences, but when you're at a bar or at a movie theater, not when a time where you could be prepared to understand it. When the ego is doing things like that, is attempting to diffuse your spirit in a method and a manner so you won't grow with it anymore. You must get beyond the pain, get beyond the misunderstandings. There are many things we learned as children that do not apply to us today. They are just incompetent understandings from a young mind that didn't really know how the world worked. We're just getting to understand how the world works. Our system of law is corrupt to the point that it's a kleptocracy. It's not a law system of law anymore. Our governors, our state-run people, our legislator, there are good people there, but the majority of the system is a cannibal system. It is not a procreating system. There's still starving people in this world, and we can't have our top percentage of earners become normal? No, because they are so far separated from our concept of reality that they are co-creating domination instead of co-creating love. So when you come to that basic fact, who's co-creating love and who's co-creating domination, it's the 99% versus the 1%. You know, I try not to be political, but I say that to rile up Revolution Radio, to rile up the listeners here and say, hey, you cannot do this anymore. You cannot. It's time to change this system so that it is fair for everyone. Change it in a method and a manner that does not allow domination and control to return, but allows everybody to be prosperous. That sounds like the term utopia. Well, guess what? In numerous studies, all world hunger could be solved for life of the entire species of this world for less than $60 billion. That's not even the price of 3 stealth bombers. Let's think about that. 60 billion. We gave 970-something billion to the banks. We could have solved world hunger for the lifespan of everybody on this planet. Why didn't anybody make that choice? Let's ask that. Let's make that a part of the chat room interaction of the skunk and the badger. Why didn't we solve world hunger with $60 billion instead of 700 or 900 billion that was to bail out the banks? Okay? I got my pitchfork. I got my torch. I know what's coming. But at the same time, I also know that it's a time of peace, a time of co-creating heart space where people will get out there and march because they want to. Okay? The very concept of marching, what is it? Let's ask that question of yourself right now. What does marching mean? What would it mean to you? What would it take for you to get off your chair and to out and march? What would it take for you to have all of your medicines taken for the day and your cane to get out there and march? What would it take for you to skip school when you're skip school so your college classes don't matter so you can go and see this event? Okay? What would it take? I ask that because it's coming. It's coming in a method and a manner that's going to reach out to everyone and say, hey, you cannot do this anymore. Our very government today has let the fiscal cliff slide down. 18 months ago, they invented it, and for the last 18 months, they've been doing what? Baiting you with the story, using your energy to co-create more within it to ultimately do what? To let it fail? To let it go through? Well, there's more going on the scenes because they don't want you to know. Demand transparency. Okay, you can do that. There's so many methods and ways that you can get out there. If you can't get out there and physically march, you can organize online. If you can't organize online, you'll have to do something else. Organize by letter. Okay? Letter writing campaigns do still work. Choose one senator. the most corrupt one out there. Start sending them letters of hope and change. The hour of power is upon you. The Peyote Ceremony and the Cradle. These last three concepts are for those that have been listening to this whole show, have been co-creating in their dreamtime energy and understanding that just listening is altering their vibration in a method and a manner that will create new dream space in them. The hour of power is the time of the day that the flower of your soul is pointing up to the sky, receiving the most amount of energy from our co-creating sun that is helping us emerge through evolution. Knowing when that time that the spirit flower inside you opens up is how you learn to be a shaman, how you learn to co-create and manifest. By knowing when that time of day or night is when your inner flower blooms is ultimately the ritual of joy, using everything that you can to help your change. The second concept is the Peyote Ceremony. It's not the taking of the drug, but the concept of the ceremony itself, to open you up to the spirit world so you may see that your hour of power manifests new abilities within you. The Peyote Ceremony is often a bridge into the future shaman. It's a time where the colorful lights inside your mind take shape, take form, take application to animal medicine or the sacred path that you're on. And during that time, you begin to co-create new abilities. And these abilities may be psychic in nature, or maybe healing in nature, or maybe wisdom in nature, or maybe past life in nature. Whatever they are, on the other side of the ceremony is your ability to respond to those gifts. Often we go through experiences in our life that our dream time literally gives us a peyote ceremony in the dream time, but when we wake up, we don't have the tools to respond to it.
So the next question here, are we healing ourselves in all dimensions when we go into the garden? So in the garden of Dreamspace, it is an emanation teaching. It is you emanating a clean dream space, and the emanation process in your visualization, meaning the garden, that is emanating back to you what a true clean space is. That is a way for the I am and the soul to create a self-emanation teaching so they begin to see where they are off on their expression. So spending time in the regeneration of the garden of dream space is a way to saying you are healing yourself on all dimensions, time streams, galaxies, and universes if you're going to engage that as a part of your advancing expression. The same thing goes when you're in the chamber of regeneration of heart space. When you are at that point where you've created what it takes to 3 dream days and nights there, and then the dreams that come in the dream space of regeneration there, there are so many sub-processes within that can allow for healing in all dimensions, time streams, galaxies, and universes by bringing in words to the sanctuary that says, I begin to recall all versions of myself who are in equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order, to come into my chamber of regeneration of heart space and share with me their story of what it took to be equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order. So I may learn from the many versions of myself what it took to heal their heart. Our past selves are some of our greatest teachers. And by allowing this visualization and dream energy within the heart space and the regeneration of heart that is 3 dream days and 3 dream nights, and all the sub-concepts that can be added to it with your own creativity. And then bringing yourself to the next level where you go to the garden, where you're specifically in the emanation of a perfect garden. and the garden is emanating it back to you. That's like tuning your guitar or your piano. You have one thing that says this is the C note, and you're doing your C note. Yeah, ding, 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 it's a little off. This is where you bring yourself into discerning balance by understanding that your brain is not filling in the garden. It is your soul-based visualization, engaging the sacred genius through the sacred discipline to make sure that you did it with the fullness of yourself present. That is the opportunity of living the mystical life daily, giving you the open source system to claim your power, make borders and boundaries, rules and policies for the densities of dimensions that do not violate your journey and do not allow you to violate the journeys of others. Knowing we must be eternally careful and impeccable in our actions inside ourselves, so that when the external world brings things to us that are not impeccable, that are detractable, deplorable, or whatever other word that is a negative archetype, that we do not take on that charge, that polarity, and take away from what we're creating. Our own individual open source sovereign system to advance ourselves to the unlimited point of view that doesn't include taking on the limited point of view of others, or taking on people as projects, knowing full well that person will never truly follow through. But it is that ember of hope that we are putting under their butt, that they might one day feel that ember burn so much that they will change their dirty energy underwear and decide to practice spiritual hygiene. We can't live with that level of hopium for people, friends, and family. You ultimately must let go of those that truly don't want to change. But we also have a fine line where, as a teacher, so many people don't have access to mentors and coaches. This is why so many people get caught up in the spiritual game of teaching, or passing on information, and they're forever the bridge and medium to other people's mediocrity. I even asked, why don't you dumb this down? Why can't you make it for the layman to experience? The layman is mediocrity. I don't want students in mediocrity. I want people who are already their self-illuminated master, who are willing to engage themselves to become self-illuminated, who are willing to know the difference between recreational and sacred, who are willing to engage the information on their own as an open source process to take them to connect to their own source, with the rules and concepts that help them deprogram what their other versions of source were. Throughout all dimensions, time streams, galaxies, and universes, so you can be your own singular stream of light.
Hey, Mary, how you doing?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, my goodness. That's wonderful. I didn't want to interrupt.
It's okay.
I've had a lot of dreams since I just been recently listening to you, having to do with animals, and last night being in a Native American longhouse, like in Canada, with a group that started with an H.
Where are you calling from?
Arizona.
Calling from Arizona. So you saw yourself in a longhouse and you thought it was Canada. Where did that concept come? Was that just something you innately knew in the dream?
Yes. Well, I had been thinking I wanted to get in touch with you, and in the dream there was somebody, I don't know if it was you or not, but you said, well, we have great ceremonies and celebrations in the something H longhouse. You should come there.
Okay. What I'm sensing from you is the longhouse is the dream lodge, and what it is saying that there's a connection to a soul group, and your physical mind understood that there was a compass direction setting that got you there, and then as you arrived there, you began to innately know this was a place you had been before, because the animal spirits that have been counseling you this lifetime have helped you understand the previous footsteps, that you've dreamed yourself into this place before, and you're going through an awakening now, a physical awakening, and there are new talents and skills and abilities that are coming to you. But on a dreamtime level, to manifest these talent, skills, and abilities to the next level, you need to be a part of the dream world even more. You need to bring yourself in that energy so that you understand why you called yourself back to the dream lodge, because you've been there before. It's written all over you.
Yes, it felt very familiar. And what's interesting, I'm from Michigan originally, and it was just north of where I was located, north of Detroit. It was sort of like, Ontario, and I've been to Manitoula Island before as a child. And I've never forgotten about that experience. Mm-hmm. But I did dream this time. Go ahead.
You want to share with us when you went to the island? Did anything happen to you there as a kid?
Well, all the roads are very sandy because, of course, it's all surrounded by water. And I don't know how, but my parents let me walk down the road by myself. And I remember seeing this native woman, and she gave me a doll, rather nice doll, kind of big. And I've had that with me off and on. But I definitely felt like on that island there was also another presence, a larger presence, and it was in everything. And it was like an invisible Bigfoot, I guess you could say, but it wasn't hostile, but very protective.
Why do you say Bigfoot?
Not sure.
That's your gut words.
Right. Because everything looked very vulnerable around me, and yet there was a power protecting it, maybe.
Okay. What that is the watcher spirit over the Moon Lodge. When tribes set up a Moon Lodge, what it is they know that in the past that their bodies will pass on, and the future generations of children will come in and will dream themselves into the Dream Lodge, passing it on to the families. And you can't get in that particular type of Moon Lodge unless you've been a part of the DNA lineage before. And when you experience that energy that you described as Bigfoot, it was the true totem that is protecting that area, and it allowed you into that area. And as you began to be more aware of it, you realize you've been there before many times, but the physical you that isn't DNA related to them is still allowed there because you've been there spiritually before. You've been a teacher there before. You were a plant medicine teacher that specialized in using oak bark and other types of bark to create medicines that would heal people.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I rock that. I also woke up wanting to be part of an ant colony this morning. I just thought, oh, that'd be really nice to be part of an ant farm. And I don't usually dream of insects. Well, except spiders, maybe. But I have a special relationship with spiders.
When you dream of the insect community, it's reminding you that there are things on this world other than two-leggeds, and they need representation when the world goes through its change. So what it's saying it's preparing you to be an ambassador to those types of communities if you should stay linked to the animal community. Because once you're linked to the animal community, you're linked to that whole food chain, which includes the spiders, the creepy crawlers, the two-legged, the four-legged, the winged ones, and everything in between. So you'll be an ambassador to them, so they too have a say in the unified global Dreamtime society, as well as the changes we go through when the light of the galactic center comes here and helps us change the very nature of our DNA.
Yes, that sounds good. I also had, seem to be at the apex of a struggle with making my voice heard when I discover truths that have been hidden from me and directly affect me and my immediate family, which is just my mother at this point, and how things have been stolen from us. And I'm struggling with having to learn how to go up against this and still stay connected with that source energy that wants me to be in a joyful heart. But I did dream of that I was a badger the other week, and the badger had a white bowl on its head, and I couldn't see inside the bowl. But I thought, well, that's probably a good thing, because badgers don't give up very easily.
Okay. I'm going to speak to you, and if my voice changes, simply know that I'm speaking to you from a very higher vibration. At this exact moment, you are going through a physical change. This particular type of physical change is representative of the dream world that you've been exposed to. The exposure to the dream world is now opening you up to the animal teachers that have been coming before you. You have already been anchored into a future source of information. There is a future source of crystalline information that is now downloading and upgrading you. This type of download and upgrade is now allowing you to attach to your present self. As you understand there are a series of attachments that are beyond your mother, you'll know why these things have been stolen from your family. Do you understand this?
Yes.
The reason some of these things have been stolen is you are not meant to have them now. You are already a high energy and high power being. If you go any further, they will remove you from the game. It is not time for you to fully awaken those talents. You must heal yourself first. As you begin to heal yourself, you will begin to heal the animals. As you begin to heal the animals, you'll be more connected into their hive universe. As you become more connected into their hive universe, you will begin to understand you are here to be an ambassador to all things that do not have two legs. There are many species that exist on this world that you have soul relations to. You came here to make sure that you are a protector of them. Though this particular lifetime you not fully understand it, in the lifetimes that you've lived here before, you did. You were previously connected to the Earth Mother as the sacred feminine warrior. There is a psychic sword within your soul that you should pull it out to protect the animal from those that would do violence. It is not time to use this psychic sword, but to use it as a pen, to write from the heart, to write to the wisdom of the animals and speak their words and share their worlds with all. It will be your opportunity to connect with the various animal spirits so you can write a tome of energy and a tome of wisdom and a tome of magic that gives the animals their voice. Literally, their voice. That is the message for you.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Do you have any questions?
So you're saying I must wait until I've made more of an effort to reconnect?
No, it's saying that you aren't to pick up the sword. You're to give the animals a voice. So it wants you to write literally something that gives the animals voice. They want you to connect to the ant hive, to the badger, to all the animals that you know, and give them a voice that goes public in a written book form. You're here to be their protector and their ambassador. They don't have a voice now, and they will need a voice. And you chose this long ago to be their voice. This lifetime is very difficult for you because the forces of domination and control do not want the animals to have a voice. Because if they have a voice, they could change this now, and we would not need to go into 2014 to wait for all of the changes. So the more people that step up and give the animals a voice, the quicker the change comes.
Very good. I will approach on that basis then. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot for calling in, and call in another time.
All right. Thank you.
In the beginning of the Living the Mystical Life webcast series, you've got the Advanced Heart Meditation. And this was something that you were intending to hear, download, read, and then read out loud and record for yourself so that you could hear yourself from your own layer of knowingness saying the same words. Discovering what it takes for you to raise your internal power level and your internal knowingness of the words so you could reach a flow that is manifesting your will and recording it so that you, at another date, can listen to what you've recorded in your sacred discipline style so that you can hear in your personal meditation what you are projecting to yourself and what you begin to discern from your own voice. Many people in the comments said they had a tough time hearing their own voice or had to record it a bunch of times because there were parts that they would go back and listen to and didn't make sense to them. Or there were certain parts that truly changed them. Every time they came back, they had to record it again and again and again until they got to a super high frequency and understood that process of learning and relearning, creating and recreating was what ultimately got them to the next level so that it could understand the next interwoven layer. In the heart meditation, you learn about bringing to your heart. That was the original thing that started with you. Layering the fetus over it, going into the blood and clearing it out, going into the pericardium and understand the pericardium is what protects you from time. The Sanctuary of All Souls is just as in depth as the meditation for the Advanced Heart Meditation. And what you're going to learn about is advancing your ability to visualize, to aid you in expanding specialized moments. By using the Sanctuary of All Souls and combining it with the Shaman's Death or combining it with some of the other teachings that are going to be coming up, you're going to learn how moments can be greatly amplified by the repetition process that includes the illumination. Innate within these teachings are illumination. So repetition and illumination come hand in hand when you are engaging sacred discipline above the mediocre level, striving to change yourself even just a little bit, striving to create joy when you are the person listening to your own projection, even if it is an awful recording. Forgiving yourself in the moment and then going and recording it again with the joy behind you, with the power behind you, saying, this is my life, no one else's. And it will be only me, that individual person who makes choices, that gets to make it to the next level. So one of the first teachings in the Sanctuary for All Souls is the Chamber of Regeneration of Heart Space. Now, this part is asking you to advance your ability to visualize. You're going to be given a process where you're entering a visualization, being asked to spend 3 dream days and 3 dream nights inside that space. And what will it take for you in that guided meditation moment, hearing your own voice, to make the power of 3 dream days and 3 dream nights in a place of solace and regeneration of heart space? It's a litmus test. Can you accept your gift of your own love through visualization and creation? The next part is the garden of regeneration of dream space. This is a garden that you will visualize and begin to share energies with for an entire dream day. Can you get the energies of the day in your visualization while being in a beautiful garden, knowing that that garden was there to share perfect dream emanation space, so you can have the clarity of dream space within yourself? Then you'll be moving to what's called the prayer grounds of regeneration, of interconnectivity. This is the next litmus test of creating imagery, knowing that fetal moments, fetus in the womb moments are coming, that are asking you to do prayer, how to become interconnected with yourself, how to take the teachings that have been brought to you throughout these 3 dream days, the whole dream afternoon, the dream nights, and all the heart meditations, and bring them to your internal prayer grounds, where the visualization place within the Sanctuary of All Souls that says you're in a protected universal space, now create within it. Create the joy of prayer within it. And in joy of prayer, you will regenerate into the fetus in the mother's womb and discover the birth, how to bring joy to the birth. So many people have birth traumas in their spirit. They were born C-section. There were issues going on with the mother and father before the birth, or whatever was going on karmically. This is where, in the prayer grounds of interconnectivity, we can go back to those birth trauma moments and clear them, clean them, repair them, renew them, rejuvenate, recycle them, recreate, whatever it is that we need to do to make that trauma no longer a trauma, but a great victory from the I Am, who knows they are the divine transmutating source of the self, that they should choose to interact in this visualized space of self-healing and self-nurturing. This place of regeneration is of internal fortitude, the I Am birth. What it took to be an infinite being, to plan an agenda, and then to forget what it is and be born, and take up the responsibility as the I Am technology at birth, who will go through growth stages and puberties and highs and lows, who will be looking at for the myriad of infinite choices that the fetus created in the infinite womb, until such a time the teaching reminding you you can go back and communicate to that infinite womb time you. What method and modality you use will be your visualization, your creation, your interco-creation, and your interconnectivity to why you were born. There is where you make a companionship to that baby that was born, separate of your mother and father. You send that baby your love from the moment of its birth till it popped out that tube and said, "I'm alive," with its first cry. Do you have that responsibility? Are you ready to be that form of shamaning of the self, knowing that time is not linear? This is what the Sanctuary of All Souls is. To challenge you in the litmus tests, to give yourself the greatest of creations that are there. Okay. Okay. Everyone relax now. I'm going to be reading you the Sanctuary of All Souls. Now I want to explain what I'm doing when I'm reading this. I created this. And in this creation is a connection to the infinite source. My intention behind this creation is to make it an open source method for you to make your hyper creation. That every part of it is as neutral as possible to pass on the essence of the experience of what it is I went through in the many iterations of my journey as a healer of myself, the healer of others, the person who's presenting of knowledge that is an authentic sacred neutral position. This individual piece is one of many others that are a part of the course. It is an individual tool that has individual tools within it that can be made and applied to many other spots. There is a strategy within this Sanctuary of All Souls that allows you the a la carte system to use in a moment to help you get out of some form of repetition without illumination, so you can be in repetition with sacred discipline and illumination. I am projecting at my highest frequency. I've done radio shows that have had millions of people listening at any given moment. There is an unseen world here going on. Each person that is here now, each person who will be of you in the future, and all people who were here, who have left since the beginning of the video for whatever reason, they are all still a part of this, to this perception of me. And here is my infinite point of view, perspective, and projection as a method for you to entangle and understand as an authentic, sacred, neutral perception of healing the self through the use of the will, through the alchemy of creation. Return to the sanctuary of all souls. This place is something that exists outside of time, outside of space, that is available for every sovereign being out there seeking healing, solace, and the regeneration of their soul. This place is your source connection. I want you to begin this visualization process that gives power and form and co-creation to the sanctuary of all souls. For when we return to the truth of the sanctuary for all souls, we discover there are 4 common places where we come to learn, to reconnect your sacred journey, reaching that point where you know you need sanctuary, and at any moment in choice, you can make a no-time choice to go to this place of the sanctuary for all souls that is protected by Source itself. Can you give yourself this gift you've had since birth? Allow yourself to visualize what this place would look like, how it would welcome you. Here are some examples. On the very edge of the horizon's line is a large pyramid with dozens of other structures around it. Something the ancient knowingness inside your DNA has seen thousands of times before on this world and millions of others. Use that imagery to begin your journey to those sacred pyramids of consciousness and wisdom, connected to Source incarnate now. Each step you take modifies your vision of Source incarnate now. And it makes it a part of the sacred journey on the sacred route of the sacred route of the scenic understanding of your personal process of communion and union with Source. As you come closer to the structures, you see the pyramids and the statues, obelisks, and the great temples to the sun, places to view the skies and the stars. The place is bustling with spiritual astronomers, consciousness explorers, people of wisdom, joy, and happiness. They welcome you to their sacred space of sanctuary of all souls. For to get here means you have awareness of it. This is your key to being here, present in the sanctuary for all souls. You are led to your personal regeneration chamber. It is a chamber of regeneration of heart space. You are given a set of instructions that tell you to go to this chamber, to a garden, then to a prayer ground. This will be something you will repeat in this place of sacred power of Source incarnate connection. Inside this chamber is a big pool of water, very warm to the touch, steaming. Go inside the water. Feel it encompassing your body. Allow it to bond with this current vision. You are in the chamber of regeneration of heart space, and you are now making the conscious, active choice to spend 3 dream days and 3 dream nights in this place of water, solace, steam, and the regeneration of heart space. That is the I Am presence now. Allow the water to be the new pericardium, creating a duplicate I Am shell around your spirit framework. It is your individual choice to empower this vision for the next 3 dream spaces. Will you make that choice? Your next place that is on your list is the Garden of Regeneration of Dreamspace. You have left the first chamber. You're wearing comfortable clothes. You're walking through a courtyard, and the people are happy, full of joy and sharing wisdom. You stop at a corner and there is somebody offering food, some food for wisdom. What wisdom do you have to share to the vendor in the sanctuary of all souls? You have a bite to eat, knowing that you spent full 3 dream days and full 3 dream nights in the chamber of regeneration of heart space. The bite of food in the sanctuary of all souls reconnects you to the Great Spirit incarnate within. And now it is time for you to go back, research, and look for the mystery within yourself. You make your way to the Garden of Regeneration of Dreamspace. Here, there are the most incredible gardens, flowers, plants, bushes, trees, in perfect unity and synchronicity of color and unity. Allow yourself to visualize this amazing garden that is here to reconnect you to dreams. For that is the very purpose of these flowers and plants and bushes. They have generated themselves in the sanctuary for all souls to reflect their perfect dream unity, asking for you to simply connect to it and share your dream space with it, so it can cleanse, repair, renew, and regenerate your dream space, connected to your heart space, freeing you of the density of the world and allowing Source Incarnate now to be a part of your dream space. Dedicate an entire dream afternoon basking in the sun in the garden of regeneration of dream space. It will be your own self-disciplined service that empowers this vision to have that full dream day power behind it. The next on your list is the prayer grounds of regeneration of interconnectivity. You have spent a day in the sun with the flowers and plants, and now you know night is coming, asking you to connect to a different part of your soul. This journey that I've described into the sanctuary of all souls is something that can be applied as a single teaching, meditation, individual, or a higher level of co-creation. For what I am doing is setting a stage and a metaphor in which your own creation can create your own source incarnate form of regeneration, so that we can all act at the highest forms of life. I have been to the prayer grounds of meditation. I have been to the prayer grounds of interconnectivity, and they have taught me the most important lesson of all. Sacred source connection comes from the actions within. When you arrive at the prayer ground, your knowingness is present. When you arrive at the prayer ground, you are ready to pray. When you arrive at the prayer ground, you're ready to make even deeper forms of sacred communication that you've done before, because you have been in the chamber of regeneration of heart space. You have been in the garden of dream space. Now you can play in the fields of clarity and begin the prayer, pray with Source itself. When you regenerate your interconnectivity with Source, it starts with a visualization of how we started as a fetus in our mother's womb. We were a heart, and then that heart grew arms and legs and a spine and a head and a brain. And we were born, and we forgot who we were. Our interconnectivity is a part of the fetus in our mother's womb. Here is where we give prayers to the fetus in our mother's womb, knowing that it is us, still an infinite source connection, and us, the future microbeing, saying back to its processes what we've went through. You are choosing to make interconnectivity a part of your self-co-creation on the prayer grounds of interconnectivity. You will need many prayers. Your wisdom is there. Your life force is there. It simply takes action to turn knowledge into more wisdom. On the prayer grounds of regeneration of interconnectivity, you can use all forms of tools, because it's about the sharing in the sanctuary, the joy of prayer. And when you discover the joy of prayer, the next chamber will be ready for you. The next place in the sanctuary of all souls will be ready. It means you have reached the Unicode expression. I am ready to re-enter the moment of my birth, where the will to live was my first non-dream thought. This place of regeneration of internal fortitude reconnects you to the fetus who's now a baby, who took their first breath in the sacred world before you were imprinted upon. By making your conscious application of the sacred so that the fetus in the baby has been born, has been connected in that moment of birth, there is an intense will to live, and this is what you must learn to connect to in the sanctuary for all souls. By giving the power to the sanctuary, by your visualization process, you are not giving away power to individuated beings. You are going to Source itself, the place where all souls come for respite and protection, regeneration of heart space, dream space, interconnectivity, and the drive and will and internal fortitude of what it takes to live in the third density world. By doing this practice daily, the mystical will become part of your dream days and nights. When you choose to spend in the time in regeneration of heart, dream, and internal connectivity with internal fortitude, in the chamber of heart space, you make yourself in that vision spend 3 dream days and 3 dream nights there. In the garden of regeneration, you spend an entire day in the sun there. Can you create that in your visualization and self-teaching? Can you truly give yourself the extra credit you deserve? And once you've acknowledged all forms of existence, when you arrive at the prayer grounds, do you have prayers that are ready to be said in the sanctuary for all souls prayer ground? So you can regenerate your interconnectivity to all the different forms that you do exist in. And once you've acknowledged all forms of existence, you move into the moment of birth, so that this I am will to live and go through the DNA activation of self-awareness. By expanding your awareness and using techniques like this, you will begin to have a greater ability to transverse the multiverse. See you in the dream world. Powerful teaching. Powerful, powerful, powerful teaching.